What's up, everybody? Happy Super Tuesday. Go out and vote. I didn't. Not very stoked about the selections here in America. So yeah, haven't live streamed in a few weeks, and I thought it would be a fun topic today. The commenters, man, you guys have been really helping me out with your suggestions for because I guess I'm leaning into the whole bad albums thing or weird moves. So my next edited video is going to be Billy Squier's "Rock Me Tonight" music video and how that essentially ended his fucking career. Like, the dude was super successful and on top of the world basically with his album sales and all that, and then he did this music video, and it was just everybody turned on him because it was pretty bad. That's all I'll say about that. But yeah, I'm working on that now, so that's not necessarily a failure of an album, but it was a very weird choice that he made with that music video, and he's I'll just give you a hint. There's points in the video where Billy Squier is literally prancing around like a pretty little pony. He is just prancing in a pink leotard, and it's bad, dude. Really bad. And the homophobia was way more rampant in 1984 than it is now. So I think that that had a lot to do with it too. A lot of his male fans were probably what the fuck is this? Anyway. What's up, chat? What's up, Patrick Reeves? Got a few more albums for me there. Yeah, I would love to cover Generation Swine by Motley Crue, but yeah, like I said, Todd in the Shadows. If you guys don't know, please check out his channel. I mean, it's not like he needs the support. He's got 500,000 subscribers, but he got that for a reason, because he does really damn good content. And he does this series called Train Records, and he'll a lot of them are suggestions by fans at this point. And he basically talks about these albums that were abject failures. And the list that we're going to be talking about today, the Rolling Stone Top 50 Worst Albums by genuinely good artists. Now, I like lists like this because it's okay, we can meet in the middle here. There's, even if there is a quote-unquote woke choice on there, they're still calling it a bad album. So it's okay, I can live with that. All the kids are here. You got Josh. Hey, Josh. I think Josh, this was your idea for this stream. So yeah, I've been getting a lot of great ideas. And anyway, Todd in the Shadows. The reason why I know I peeped this list before I did the live stream, because I wanted to be prepared a little bit, I didn't get to listen to any of the albums, but I just wanted to see what I was working with. And I can already tell you guys, right from the start, I'm not going to have a lot to say on a lot of these albums because I just straight up haven't heard them. But there will be ones that I will have a lot to say on, so it's worth doing. Dirk Clips, let's go. Roy Smith, what's up, man? Roy has been going through all my old videos and watching them, which I highly appreciate, because I always say that I put a lot of work into those old videos that I've done. I've been on YouTube since 2015, making content fairly consistently since 2015. I'm coming up on my 10-year anniversary on YouTube, and only in the past 2 years have I finally, I don't want to use the phrase blown up, but for my channel, yes, blown up. Because I was sitting at I don't know, a couple thousand subscribers for years there. I mean, I was languishing. So I put out a lot of content though in that time period. And a lot of it I feel like is still worth watching and is still good. Some of it's pretty cringe. Some of it, especially the early video game stuff, I was clearly ripping off Angry Video Game Nerd. I was clearly doing my best James Rolfe impression. But dude, who the fuck didn't rip off the Angry Video Game Nerd in the early 2010s or mid 2010s even? I think everybody was ripping off either Doug Walker or Angry Video Game Nerd or like Red Letter Media. You know, they were all ripping off their heroes. That's what you do until you find your own kind of style. I have to blow my nose. Nose has been doing shit lately. But no, I appreciate anybody who goes and rewatches my old content, because like I said, not only do you get to see a younger Josh, but you get to see quality entertainment, in my opinion, that didn't get any love back in the day because I was not appealing to the algorithms or something. I don't fucking know. So we've got Nate N. Hey, what's good, man? Are we going to see a Rush album on here, perhaps? If anyone working there even knows Rush, yeah, probably not. Even if they did know Rush, I don't think Rush has never put out an album that was like that anyone would consider like, oh man, this album's so bad. Like even their Rush's worst album has like it. Like I feel like Rush's worst album is probably their first album. It's very derivative of 1970s hard rock. Sounds, Geddy Lee sounds like a Robert Plant, like Wish.com version. John Rutsey's drumming is very run-of-the-mill. Alex Lifeson's guitar solos are just that minor pentatonic shit that every rock guitar, that's the mode or the scale that he was soloing in. And it was just a very run-of-the-mill record. Working Man's a good song, obviously, although that middle part with all the guitar wankery is just classic 70s, like, cheese to a certain degree at this point. But yeah, anyway. Simon Matthew Robinson, what's up, my friend? Queen, Hot Space, still one batshit crazy decision. They went full poppers disco. The video for Body Language is precious. Yeah, I own like 3 Queen records, and that's one of the ones I own. I don't know why. I had this conversation with somebody else in my comment section on one of my videos. They said that was one of their only Queen albums that they own too. And we were trying to figure out why Hot Space. And I think it's the fucking album cover, honestly. Because, like, when you look at the album cover, it looks like it could be some cool, like, experimental thing. I thought maybe it would be, like, more, like, synth-driven, some kind of synth pop thing. And it I don't know what it was. It was disco, it was yacht rock, it was bad. Under Pressure is the only thing the only reason this album has any merit whatsoever. And I don't even care for Under Pressure all that much. I don't like David Bowie's voice. I really don't. What's up, M. Presley? Saint Anger, yeah. Again, I would really, really be beating a dead horse if I talked. And I did talk about Saint Anger when I ranked all of Metallica's studio records. So if you want my thoughts on Saint Anger, you can go check that video out. And plus, Todd in the Shadows already did it, so I'm not gonna do my a solo video on that one. What's up, Manuel Music? Just trying to say hey to the people who always show up to the chat. Show them some love. Josh, yep, I came across it and thought it'd work for you. Love the old videos, but I felt like an annoying spammer if I comment. No, by all means, comment on the old videos. Spam the fuck out of them. I love reading people's thoughts on my old stuff that I put a lot of like time and effort into that nobody cared about at the time. Roy definitely did, and I appreciated reading all of those. Grub Killer 3069. Hey Josh, found you through Red Cow and have slowly been chipping away at the back catalog. Big Joni Mitchell fan, by the way. Oh God, if you saw my Rolling Stones top 500 albums of all time, I did it like in the during the pandemic 2020. I did that one, and Joni Mitchell's Blue album was like it was like number 3 of the greatest albums of all time. And yet in the 2003 version, it was like number 20. And it's like, the future is women, or the future is feminine. So let's, for no reason except for that, bump Joni Mitchell up 17 spots, kicking out all those white men like Pink Floyd and the Beatles, those bastards. Yeah, you're triggering me again, by the way. Oh, thank you for the comment. They aren't a James Rolfe ripoff. They're better. I whenever I watch it, I just can't help but to feel like this smacks of James Rolfe ripoff. I can't believe Walker castigates the creepy hurt of Goodbye Blue Sky as some sort of Oscar bait song, just plain weird and deeply stupid. Yeah, Doug was deeply stupid for making that video. He wants to be a theater kid so bad, and now Doug Walker like has the platform to do that, and he's just LARPing his innermost theater kid fantasies, and by God, he's got a fucking audience that will watch. And he's really lucky, and he says as much. That's why, unlike James, who just doesn't say anything, like when Doug finally acknowledges the criticism, he says, look, I am blessed to be doing this, and if someone wants to make a video critiquing my video, then that's interesting too, and it's getting the word out. I mean, Doug really, say what you want about the guy, but and the fact that he might be a sex pest, according to this person who always jumps on my live stream or comment section and just keeps saying Doug Walker is a sex pest, which really makes me laugh out loud. And because of this guy, I think in my head at least once a day, Doug Walker is a sex pest. I don't know. It's just it's a funny phrase to me. But anyway, say what you want about Doug Walker, but man, he can take some criticism, and he keeps putting out them shitty videos, man. Despite all the criticism, good for him. That's what I did too. You know, when certain groups were coming down on me and attacking me and putting a lot of effort into, you know, trying to make me feel stupid. And it's like, I don't care, dude. Like, yeah, make memes about me. I don't give a fuck. Like, anyway, what else we got in here? I'm just reading some of these before we get started. I'm eventually going to get to the list. I can see the first Rush record as the weakest. I'd also argue Test for Echoes. Yeah, Test for Echo. I'd say, actually, I would say Rush's first record and their last record are their two weakest records. Everybody is talking about how they love Clockwork Angels, and to me, it sounds like a sea of fucking noise. At least on Test for Echo, like the opening song, Test for Echo, it's got this nice clear guitar, you know, and then it goes into that riff, you know, that bang, like that was a badass riff. And then you got the lyrics on Test for Echo, the actual song, like, are just Neil Peart at his most cynical. He's like talking about like the modern era we find ourselves in of the 90s, and like, oh man, the lyrics are so fucking good. I got to look them up, guys. The lyrics. So I disagree. Test for Echo, just based on, there's a couple of songs I really like on Test for Echo, and Clockwork Angels, there's like one song I like. Test for Echo lyrics. These are really great. Just Neil's take of like modern, like the 90s with like the televised trials and all that of like the Menendez brothers and O.J. Simpson. So he's saying some kind of trouble on the sensory screen, camera curves over caved-in cop cars, bleacher creatures, would-be desperados, clutch at plausible deniability. Don't touch that dial, we're in denial until the showcase trial on TV. Here we go, Vertigo, Test for Echo. Some kind of pictures on the Sense O'Clock News. Miles of yellow tape, silhouetted chalk lines. Tough talking hood boys and pro team logo knockoffs. Damn, bro. Conform to uniforms of some corporate entity. Bro, Neil is like killing it. Like, tough talking hood boys and pro team logo knockoffs conform to uniform of some corporate entity. Like, all those gangsters wearing these stupid jerseys and shit. It's like you're all like slaves to these corporations, and he's just saying it so articulately. Don't change that station. It's Gangster Nation. Now crimes in syndication on TV. What a show. Vertigo, Video Vertigo, Test for Echo. Sorry, I'm about to finish these lyrics. Some kind of drama live on satellite, hidden camera coverage from the crime scene to the courtroom, nail-biting hood boys in borrowed ties and jackets, clutching at the straws of respectability, can't do the time, don't do the crime, and wind up in the perp walk on TV. Dude, I just get goosebumps reading those lyrics. Like, that is some damn good lyric writing from Neil on that song. Just really like, and even the name Test for Echo, just they feel like they're in this alien land now. The times have changed so much since the 1980s, and now Rush is in the mid 90s, and they're just sending a signal to see like, is there anybody out there like us anymore, you know? So like, I don't know, just based on all that alone, you got me all hard for Test for Echo now. But yeah, there's some dated songs in there, like that song where he's talking about the internet. I always forget the name of it, but he's like, you know, little boys, little girls, send your message all across the world and throw it into cyberspace. Like, yeah, that song did not age very well. It aged like poor milk or old milk on a porch, as kids like to say now. Sorry, I got a little too into that Test for Echo shit. All right, I got lost in the sauce again on the comments. Let me see here. I met Justin Eaglekins. I met you at the Comedy Zone in Jacksonville, Florida. We did blow with the headliner, and I'm pretty sure he stole my Tamagotchi. A, I've never done blow in my entire life. B, the only time I've been to Comedy Zone was to see Bill Burr in 2012, and the tickets were $30. Now wrap your head around that. Seeing Bill Burr live at like a small comedy club, and the tickets were $30. And his podcast had already been big at that point, and it was a full club, but now he's doing fucking coliseums. Hasn't he done like the fucking Acropolis or something at this point? That shit's insane. I only like some songs from her because a good friend, but for the most part, she does get a free boost, which is, talking about Joni Mitchell. I love the Abacab album in the back. Yep. Yeah, that's one of the I pointed in the right way. That's one of the OG pressings, too. That's my dad's copy of it. And the albums back from the 70s are freakishly thin. Like, you feel like you really got to be careful with it. Because, like, that record, that's a new, like, pressing from, like, a couple years ago. And that thing is thick as fuck. Like, when you hold it in your hands, it's like, damn, this thing's thick. You get deeper bass frequencies the thicker the vinyl. You know, and them thin vinyls, like, the sound, like, the bass isn't as prominent. Because I've been told that bass because it makes deeper grooves in the record, you can't fit as much on there. So, yeah. The remasters and the repressings and all that, I think that's cool that they're doing that. How late am I to the party, Ashtray Decay? About 30 minutes. No, about 25 minutes late. I did not start at 5 as usual. Is Pearl Jam even a band anymore? I have no idea. It would not make me sad if they weren't. I'm sure they are. I've never been a Rush fan, and I'm Canadian. Well, that's a shame. Well, you know, you get force-fed a lot more Rush than we do because of your weird Canadian law. Well, I don't think it's weird. I actually think it's kind of awesome. That Canadian law where you have to play, 30% of the music you play on Canadian radio has to be Canadian artists. I love that rule, actually, because it forces radio stations to support their fellow countrymen. Now, of course, Americans are never going to have that problem because, like, as far as pop culturally speaking, we kind of rule the world, you know. But yeah, artists from smaller countries should have, like France should play French artists. England should play more English artists, my friend, my singer for my band, Dancing with Ghosts, she went to England and Scotland a couple months ago, and she was so disappointed by the radio stations out there. She said all they played was the same shit they play here. I could not believe that, but it makes sense in a way because it's like, yeah, well, we're all just homogenizing into one culture because of the internet and TikTok, and it's all becoming American-centric, which is a bummer to me because if I ever leave the country, I want to experience a completely different culture. I don't want to go to Germany and have everybody speak to me in perfect English and have McDonald's billboards and all that shit, but I know that's what's going to fucking happen, you know? Oh, God. Look at me bitching about, I don't know, bitching about modern day conveniences. Oh, I got to go to another country and they speak the same language as me. That sucks. Neil was something of a goat in the lyric department. Witch Hunt is scarily prescient, quick to judge, quick to anger, slow to understand. I know, I love that line. It's because it is so true. And yes, I would say Neil is one of the greatest of all time when it comes to lyric writing. So, roll your eyes at me, Volunteero, such deep lyrics. You kind of have to hear it in the context of the song to truly get it, I guess. Like, I know, yeah, those aren't, maybe they're not the deepest lyrics, but you kind of got to listen to it in the context of the song. I don't know. And I think they are some pretty good lyrics. I'm not saying they're the deepest, but whatever. Lil Steve, I got a cousin named Steven. Are you the same one? Honestly, most artists' first record are not perfect. If their first album is perfect, fans will say they never made a good album after that. Yeah, that's very true. Although I would say Pretty Hate Machine by Nine Inch Nails was a really solid first record, but he only went up from there. That's a good example. Smashing Pumpkins had a good debut album, but they only went up from there. Nirvana's first album was pretty good, but obviously they went up and then they went kind of down, in my opinion. In Utero was not as, I don't know, man. I never find myself like, man, I really want to listen to In Utero today. You know, it's just kind of like bums me out for some reason. Let's see here. Don't forget to thumbs up. Oh, thanks. Yeah, I guess when you give the stream a thumbs up, it shows it to more people or something. So if you guys wouldn't mind giving it a thumbs up, obviously the more the merrier on here. But, you know, if you don't want to do that, I don't care. Do it or don't do it. You know? Whatever, man. They're releasing a new album this year and tour. I'm assuming you're talking about Pearl Jam. Oh, great. I bought a Pearl Jam record in like 2004. It was the one with the avocado on it or whatever. And it's like, it was okay, but it reminds me of a bad time in my life, so I don't listen to it anymore. We do have to play 30% Canadian artists on the radio. I did a punk show on CHLY. It was cool to give all the local bands time on air. Yeah, I mean, I wish cities would do that, like give their local bands in that city more air, you know, like opportunities like that, you know. Like Jacksonville is definitely not a city that like supports local music as much as they think they do. Like I've been trying to get a write-up in our local Folio Weekly magazine, and those fools won't even respond to my fucking emails, you know? So it's like, and our band has a draw here in our hometown. Like we have a good draw here in Jacksonville. So like we're a known band, and I can't even like get in their little artsy magazine that they have for free at all the, you know, restaurants and all that. So I don't know. Any takes on Glenn Fricker from Spectre Media Group? No idea who that is. What's up, Jordy? I actually know Jordy IRL. James Johnson, any up-and-coming punk bands looking for a name? I got one. Urgent Turd. Just shout me out in the liner notes of your first Urgent Turd. Jesus Christ, I like that. I only listen to In Utero when I'm stoned and remember it exists. Yeah, I do forget that album even exists. I forget Bleach exists. It's like Nirvana. It's like, never mind. I'm not even saying that it's the best album in the world, but those are some damn good songs. And I know it's so like not punk rock of me to like their most mainstream album, but whatever, dude. I don't care anymore. Here it is in Italy, 11:38 p.m. So let's start the list, Josh. Yeah, I know, man. I know I'm getting to it. Hey, Manuel, I'm guessing you're Italian. I'm a quarter Italian. Would I pass as Italian in your country? Would they look at me and go, hey, yes, he looks like one of us? My grandfather was full Italian. What was a video you did years ago where you started out in full MAGA uniform, including yokel accent? Sure, it was some mad right-wing country song. I did a song called Big Fucking Truck, and it was a total like pastiche kind of making fun of. So in my city, there's a bunch of rednecks who drive these big old jacked up trucks, and it usually says like Trump didn't lose, or it was rigged, or if you don't love it, then you can leave it. Talking about America and all that, just redneck, bullshit. So I did a song basically called "Big Fucking Truck," which I should just like stream on here sometime if I was smart enough to do that, but yeah, anyway. Local magazines gatekeeping local artists that aren't in their cliques. Say it ain't so. Yeah, I know. That's nothing new, but I look, this is my hug box, so if I want to cry in here, then god damn it, I can cry in here because I've built this hug box from the ground up, god damn it. Fruit of the Tomb, what's up, bro? Hey, I was just wondering, since you're from Jacksonville area, was you ever into the death metal scene coming out of Tampa back in the 90s? Dude, in the 90s, I was too young to even go to shows or no. I was in the 90s, I wasn't even like a teenager yet, so I was too young. Yeah, I know, and your pronunciation of Italian is so cliche. Yeah, I know it is. I know. I'm a stupid American. Like, what do you want from me? Like, I'm your typical dumb American that doesn't, get shit. All right, let's jump into this list here. God darn it. Oh, yes, this browser better act right, because last time it didn't. Okay, so here we have 50 genuinely horrible albums by brilliant artists. So they're kind of giving you that little backhanded compliment there by, it's like, yes, you have a genuinely horrible album, but you're a brilliant artist. That's all right. Let's take this on. Like I said, I'm not going to have a lot to say on a lot of these albums because I haven't heard them, but I think this might have given me fuel for like the next 50 videos I make, unless Todd in the Shadows already beat me to it. I'm going to have to read the description on a lot of these because, like I said, I got nothing on it. It's Hard, The Who. Okay, coming in at number 50 with The Who, It's Hard. Came out in 1982. Now, I can already tell you, a Who album in the 80s is already like this band must be lost in their direction, and so they're probably trying to conform to like the 80s sound by this point. In the early 80s, Pete Townsend was juggling a solo career, the Who's difficult post-Keith Moon period, and a pretty nasty heroin addiction. I guess I was always under the impression that the Who like disbanded the Who after Keith Moon died. I didn't know they kept going. He somehow found the time to cut 2 stellar solo albums. I guess talking about Pete Townsend, and the Who's underrated 1981 LP Face Dances, but then when it came time to enter the studio and cut It's Hard 1982, his stockpile of tunes was down to virtually nothing. It should be noted that throughout this whole time, he saved the best stuff for his solo albums. I hate it when people do that. Tony Banks did that on some of his solo albums. He saved some good stuff for it, but I mean, he always kept the bottle full for the next Genesis record. Lead-off track, Athena, was a genuine radio hit, and Eminence Front is a masterpiece that's been the Who live repertoire for the past... Dude, Eminence Front is my favorite Who song. I always wondered about that song, because it's like a disco electronica song. Like, very cool. Then, as they're saying, One Life's Enough, I've known no war, Why Did I Fall for That, and Cooks County are clearly the result of exhaustion, very hard drugs, and a contractual obligation to Warner Brothers Records. Townsend himself probably barely remembers making this record, and most Who fans have worked hard to forget it exists. Dang. I might have to take a listen to that one. That's a pretty, okay. All right, up next we got Billy Joel, The Bridge. Wow, I'm not a huge stalwart of Billy Joel. When did this come out? 1986. Yeah, that seems like a weird year for a Billy Joel record to come out. Is that him up there at the very top? Is this like some big-ass bridge? Okay, this is very 80s modern art looking. Billy Joel had nearly a solid decade of success and hits after he finally breaking through with The Stranger in 77, but when it came time to cut 86's The Bridge, he was tapped out. Quote, I wasn't all that focused on writing again and recording again, he told Rolling Stone in 2013. I was just a new dad, I had a baby girl, and I just kind of wanted to be home with my family at the time. But it was time to get back into the studio. Working with longtime producer Phil Ramone, he did manage a couple of genuinely great songs like A Matter of Trust. Oh, I love that song. That's like probably one of my only like Billy Joel songs I actually like. And his Ray Charles duet Baby Grand, but the rest of the album is largely lifeless filler like Code of Silence and Getting Closer. I hate albums like that where there's literally like fucking Hot Space, case in point. I don't think this record was on this list, but it should have been. Because literally, like, Under Pressure and Body Language are the only two listenable tracks. To me, a lot of people don't even like Body Language. But yeah, it's like everything else is fucking filler on this album. And I hated it when bands did that. And, you know, because it's like they already have your $15. You can't return a CD because it sucks. Maybe you can, but I know that like at Best Buy and Sam Goody, where I would get most of my CDs, you couldn't return it once you opened it. Like you bought the CD, it's yours now. You could only, you could turn it in to Sam Goody and get a little bit of credit or whatever. But yeah, it wasn't. You were stuck with it, so you felt screwed when you got an album that had one good song, and the rest were fucking filler songs. All right, moving on. Oh, yeah, Van Halen 3. Yep. 98? That came out in 98? Holy shit. Look at the Van Halen 3 font on the side there. That shit looks so bad. Like, that looks so badly photoshopped in there or whatever. They probably didn't even use Photoshop. Sorry, I'm plugging in my laptop because I realized it was not plugged in. They probably weren't even using Photoshop at that time. Back in 98, it was probably like Corel Draw, which was like the precursor to Photoshop. I think I could be wrong on that, but I remember having Corel Draw on my old Windows 95, and it was like a cracked version because we knew this computer guy who anyway. No, this album was so just disjointed, and Gary Cherone is totally not singing like he did in, what was it, Extreme that he was in before. He's singing with this weird, he's like doing his best Sammy Hagar / David Lee Roth combination, and it just doesn't sound good. The lyrics are really fucking stupid. Todd in the Shadows did a whole video on this album. I highly recommend his video on Van Halen 3. It's really good. Up next, we got Grateful Dead. Say less, man. I already am on board with hating this album. It could be their greatest album. I would dislike it. Man, what a fucking look at all those old hippies on there building a house of cards. I guess Built to Last. I guess that's kind of a cute little ironic name. Came out in 1989. Can you imagine the Grateful Dead doing anything past like the 70s? I can't. Thinking about Grateful Dead in the 1980s are two things that do not compute in my brain. The Grateful Dead's fluke 87 hit, Touch of Grey, introduced their music to a whole new generation of fans and moved the band from arenas to football stadiums. Wow. It should have been a great time for the band, but Jerry Garcia was deep in the throes of drug addiction and dealing with the aftermath of a 5-day diabetic coma in 1986 that nearly ended his life. With Arista thirsty for another touch of gray, the group began work on another album in early 1989, Built to Last. The cover shows them building an elaborate house of cards on the verge of collapse, which is a nice metaphor for the band at this point. The new Garcia-Robert Hunter compositions like Foolish Heart and Standing in the Moon leave almost no impact on the listener, and the 4 songs that feature keyboardist Brent blah 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 on lead vocals don't fare any better. This is the sound of a band worn out from eternal touring and heavily reliant on substances. Okay, so they were trying to do another I will get by. That song sucks, by the way. They were trying to do another one of those and they failed. What's the comment saying here? Is Pete Townsend allowed to go on the internet anymore? Yeah, dude. Pete Townsend and his CP, I guess that's how they say it now. CP was found on Pete Townsend's laptop back in the day of the Who guitarist, whatever. And the dude literally said he was doing research for a book he was writing. And that's why authorities, the CP was on Pete Townsend's computer. I'll let you guys be the judge of that one. It's hard, isn't that terrible? Cry if you want is stellar. As Eminence front, bad take Rolling Stone. Oh, okay. Well, shit. Ashtray, you couldn't return a CD, but in the late 90s, they started opening listening stations. I remember those in stores, and you could listen to the album before you bought it. I remember those, but I remember thinking, like, do I want to sit here for like 56 minutes and just to see if I like this album? I guess you could kind of like skip through the tracks or whatever, but yeah, no, I remember listening stations. And I remember thinking to myself, like, I know these stoner fucking teenagers who work here are not disinfecting these headphones. They're just not. A lot of times those listening stations would have like 8 buttons that each represented an album that like the record company was trying to push at the time, and you could only select one of those albums, and it would only give you like a certain amount of time from each album or whatever. It's not, I think some of the places you could listen to any CD, but a lot of them they had a pre-selection of artists that you could listen to in store to decide if you wanted to buy the CD or not. I mentioned those CD listening stations in the previous stream. Yep. Grateful Dead, great name, but Jesus Christ, I hate that band. And they've got like a zillion albums of bluesy country shuffle. Yeah, dude, I hate it, dude. It sucks. I don't get it. It's so boring. There's this like young deadhead that comes to one of my karaoke gigs, and he sings Grateful Dead songs, and they're so long, and you're praying for any kind of melody or hook that you can grab onto, and there's just nothing there. And it's like, why do people like this band? How did they ever get so fucking popular? But anyway, moving on. Outkast, Idlewild. Really? I know this was the soundtrack to some movie, but I didn't know this was a terrible album. I might do a video on this. I haven't been able to really tackle a bad hip hop flop yet. Sorry, I'm rubbing my face so much. I have light sensitivity, and these bright ass lights in my face that are off camera are really fucking making my nose itch. The soundtrack to Outkast's Depression-era movie Idlewild generated pretty strong reviews when it came out in 2006, but that's probably because critics couldn't even conceive of a subpar album by the Atlanta duo after their incredible streak from 1994's Southern playlistic Cadillac Music to 2003's Speakerboxxx Love Below. Yeah, they had a killer run from the 90s to the mid-2000s for sure. I was there. I remember it. It's one of the most impressive runs in the history of hip-hop, but Idlewild is a very different beast, and not just because it incorporates swing, blues, jazz, and soul to keep with the time period of the film. The more that time passes, the clearer it becomes that Idlewild is a product of a creatively exhaustive duo who were tired of working together and desperate to go their separate ways. Guests like Snoop Dogg, Macy Gray, Lil Wayne, and Janelle Monáe attempt to lighten things up, but there's not a single song here in the same universe as Miss Jackson, Rosa Parks, or B.O.B. And even if you forced yourself to like Idlewild back in 2006, when is the last time you put it on? Be honest. Oh, damn, look at Rolling Stone. See, I like this more snarkier version of Rolling Stone, shitting on things instead of just praising them for being diverse and whatever the fuck. All right, I'm going to have to... I think I want to do a video on this album and see if it's as bad as they say it is. I did not know that, like, some of these artists... I did not know Macy Gray was still relevant in 2006, and I didn't know Janelle Monáe was even around as early as 2006. That's crazy. I'm learning things. Willie Nelson, Countryman. When did he put this one out? 2005, okay. Yeah, I don't think I want to hear a record from Willie Nelson in 2005. His voice was already starting to sound old when he did We Are the World, which Netflix released a documentary on We Are the World and the making of that song, which was actually super interesting. I was thinking about doing some kind of a video on that as well. But, so what's the deal on this one? I'm trying to boil this down so I don't have to read this whole paragraph. Oh, he decided to go reggae. To be fair, he does a decent job with Jimmy Cliff songs, Harder They Come, and Sitting in Limbo, but the concept totally falls apart on reggae redos of Willie originals like Darkness on the Face of the Earth and How Long Is Forever, which fall into some horrible middle ground between country and reggae where no artist had ever dared to venture. Toots Hibbert, pops up to join him for a cover of Johnny Cash's I'm a Worried Man, but he can't even salvage this project. Nelson's vocals sound like they're in a different world than these slick, overly tinkered with instrumental tracks. Huh, okay. Willie does reggae. I mean, he's a pothead. I guess it's only natural that... What is it about pot that makes people like reggae? Oh, Around the Sun by REM. I was going to expound upon my previous comment, but yes, Rolling Stone. Hard agree on this one. This album sucked. This is REM's worst album by far. They had like one or two good songs on here, but man, this was a stinker for sure. In fact, oddly enough, the CD version I have of this album, there's something wrong with it. It's like glitchy. The sound is off. Big Boy is a massive Kate Bush fan. Yeah, I read that. I don't hear it, but whatever. Yeah, I would like to follow up and do a We Are the World video, and just kind of like look at some of the artists that were featured in that lineup. Very eclectic. Funny story from that We Are the World documentary. Stevie Wonder at some point wanted to do some chant in Swahili, and he was trying to get everyone to do this chant in Swahili to kind of honor the African people or whatever the fuck. And literally at that point, Merle Haggard, who was in the background, he was one of the singers on We Are the World. Merle Haggard turns to somebody and goes, "Ain't no country boy ever sang Swahili," and he literally walks out of the room. And it's like, well, there, we just lost Merle Haggard, so it's fucking hilarious, dude. But no, REM Around the Sun, man, this album sucked. Let's see why Rolling Stones thinks it sucked. It's tempting to say that REM lost their focus after Bill Berry quit the band in 1996 and they never made another great album, but that's simply not true. No, it's simply not true. They didn't lose focus when Bill Berry quit the band. They may have ceased to be a commercial force, but records like Accelerate, Reveal, Collapse Into Now, and even Up are stellar albums, even if they fail to reach the absurd highs of their early works. Man, I'm impressed that Rolling Stone acknowledges late career REM as being stellar albums, because those really are. I loved Accelerate. Collapse Into Now, that one's got half of the songs good. Reveal was a great album in 2001, and I really do love Up. I think it's underrated, so good for them for acknowledging that. The only time the group really stumbled was on 2004's Around the Sun. The Outsiders, which I feel like is one of the only good songs in the album, featuring Q-Tip of A Tribe Called Quest, aims to replicate their KRS-One collaboration from 1991's Out of Time, but it feels forced. Bitch, that KRS-One collaboration radio song or whatever, that felt forced. Like, that was the corniest ass REM song. Hey, hey, hey. What are you saying? What are you saying? Radio listeners! Dude, that is the cringiest fucking song to open up an album. An album that, like, I think the very next song was Losing My Religion. And it's like, that's how they opened up. I thought The Outsiders was a great song, honestly. Like, Michael Stipe. It's a minor key song, but like Michael Stipe's little soulful humming and all that shit. No, I think it's a great song. Final Straw is a noble, if boring, protest against the Iraq War. Agreed. Very boring song. Felt like that was Donald Trump's canes just then. Agreed. Very boring song. Worst song that everyone's ever heard. It's awful. The rest of the album feels simply lazy. Agreed. It does. And if you don't believe us, listen to the band. Quote, "It was just really listenable." It just wasn't really listenable, Peter Buck said in 2008, because it sounds like what it is, a bunch of people that are so bored with the material that they can't stand it. Dang. Yeah, I mean, that's what the record sounds like. I always thought, like, why is this album sucking so hard? Like, yeah, it's crazy that they admit to that. That We Are the World doc was surprisingly great and really moving. Dylan looks so damn uncomfortable throughout. Yeah, it's a good documentary. You guys should really watch it. I'm reading the chat right now, if that wasn't obvious. Yeah, no, dude, the most moving part to me was when, like, Diana Ross was, like, hanging out behind, like, after everyone left, And she was like, got tears in her eyes. And Lionel Richie's like, Diane, what's wrong? And she's like, I just don't want this to be over. And it's like, oh, that's sweet. That's wholesome. Little Diana. It's crazy because like you're looking at all these people in this room, and each and every one of them could have went out on their own and sold out an arena at that time. I mean, you had like all the biggest stars of 1985 in that room. Like you had a Michael Jackson in there, and he's acting all timid, and it's like, bro, you will go on to be the biggest of all these motherfuckers. So like, but it just, I don't know, it was interesting. Around the Sun has some good songs, but it's so one pace. The production really antiseptic. Luckily, Accelerate followed, and that is a fucking great. No, Accelerate. It's like they found a new sense of purpose with Accelerate. I was surprised a band that late in their career could make something that was so immediate and so just relevant sounding musically. Like I was like, bravo! I bought that album when it came out. I was really impressed that they were still able to like make such a good record, and like I think Mr. Richards is probably my favorite song off of there. But then I think you have like was it Houston? That's a great song. I mean, like Living Well is the Best Revenge. They have a bunch of great songs off that album. What's the name of the We Are the World doc? It's something like We Are the World. Just go on Netflix and type it in, and it'll pop up. Around the Sun was bad. I tried to like it, always desperate for another great REM album. They were few and far between their late career, sadly. But yes, Accelerate was good. Okay, so it's called Greatest Night in Pop. I don't know. Moving on. Oh, look, Saint Anger. Yep. And it's only down. It's only 43. That's surprisingly low for such a fucking terrible album that I had to re-listen to when I ranked my Metallica the tier list for the Metallica albums that I did. I had to listen to a lot of fucking Metallica. And that video performed okay for my channel, but honestly, my videos have been performing better than what that album or that video did. And it almost like pisses me off that it's like I had to listen to all this fucking Metallica just for 2,000 views. Actually though, I did enjoy listening to albums that I had never heard before. Like I'd never heard Ride the Lightning, and I fucking love that album now. Kill 'Em All was solid. I was surprised at how much I didn't enjoy Injustice for All. But yeah, anyway, don't want to get back into all that. We all know why this album's bad. We don't really need to read this. Let's just keep going. The Clash has cut the crap. Whenever I did my Dee Dee Ramone rap video, a lot of people were bringing up Clash has cut the crap. And yes, people have pointed out in the Dee Dee Ramone video in the beginning where I was like, there were other great punk bands that also influenced the scene, like the Clash, the Sex Pistols, and the Dead Kennedys, and I just showed two pictures of the Clash, or two pictures of the Sex Pistols instead of the Clash. Hey man, like I don't really know exactly what these guys look like. I mean, I kind of know what was it, Joey Strummer or whatever, kind of know what he looks like, but yeah, I fucked up on that. But Todd and the Shadows did yet another great video on this album. They just put it this way, it's a classic punk band that uses drum machines. Okay, that's kind of all you need to know. Drum machines were definitely used on this record. They had like apparently one good song, and it was like This Is England. Yeah. So anyway, no need to. Oh shit! Genesis Calling All Stations. I forgot this was on here. I just did a video on this album that is doing well actually, which I'm happy about because I'm like, I know I have Genesis fans that watch my channel, but I thought this would be a very niche audience that would like this video, but it's done better than a lot of my other previous ones. I know why this album sucks, but let's see what Rolling Stone has to say about it. The sole Genesis album after Phil Collins left the band was replaced by Scottish newcomer Ray Wilson isn't a total disaster. It's not a total disaster. The Dividing Line is an excellent prog rock tune. It's an okay prog rock tune, Rolling Stone. Not About Us is a beautiful ballad. It sounds like Christian rock, but okay. And Congo, Calling All Stations, and Shipwreck all have their moments. I will give you that. They have their moments, but not Shipwreck. I don't like that song. Like, Just full stop. I do not like Shipwrecked. But then there's embarrassing dreck like Small Talk, Alien Afternoon, and Uncertain Weather that drags the whole thing into the abyss. Yes. I can't even recall what Uncertain Weather sounds like, but Small Talk and Alien Afternoon is probably like the worst song on the album. Like lyrically, you can tell it's a Tony Banks song. And then the little that little sampled trumpet sound. God damn it, this vaping is killing me. Without Collins or original frontman Peter Gabriel at the helm, this band was without a clear leader or sense of purpose. Yes, the album definitely has that sound. Maybe the album could have been better, Wilson admitted to Rolling Stone in 2022. Rolling Stone talked to Ray Wilson in 2022? Where's that magazine? I subscribed to them around that time. I don't remember that. We could have had a few more stronger songs on the album had we had a bit more time and work together maybe, but it is what it is. When the record bombed, the group fired Wilson and waited around another decade for Collins to return for a nostalgic reunion tour. They never recorded another note of new music. And that's because Phil Collins didn't want to. Tony and Mike were totally down to do a new record, but Phil was... I recently reread Phil's... his autobiography that he did called Not Dead Yet or whatever, which is a pretty fitting title because I'm pretty sure that guy ain't got much longer for this here mortal coil. He's in bad shape. Any pictures you see of Phil Collins lately. But yeah, he later in life, in like his mid-50s, he developed a really hardcore drinking problem, and he kind of had to do all he could to get sober or else he was going to die. His liver, all of his internal organs was shutting down. Now I consider myself a functioning alcoholic. I gotta know how much that motherfucker was drinking, because I mean, maybe it's the fact that his body was just older and maybe his organs couldn't process it as well. So, most alcoholics have cleaned up their act by the time they're in their 50s. They're not starting their problem in their 50s. But yeah, Phil's life was basically at that point so controlled. He had to be in a routine or he might relapse. And he was trying to keep that gold digging wife of his, Orianne or whatever, happy. So yeah, his life was just so out of whack that there's no way he'd be in a creative headspace to do a new album with them. Although I think they could have put out maybe one more good album. The Kinks present a soap opera. Got no info on this. Came out in 75. Wasn't that kind of like their era, the 70s? Oh, is this supposed to be like a concept record? The Who often get credit with inventing the concept record, but the Kinks are the Village Green Preservation Society. The Kinks, whatever. Hit shelf 6 months before Tommy. The Kinks got more ambitious with Arthur in 69, and their mid-70s preservation concept was so grandiose it took them 2 separate records across 2 years, but they hit a wall with 75's The Kinks present a soap opera. The record began as a television play about a rock star who trades places with a regular bloke so he can feel what life is like on the other side. It's packed with distracting spoken word dialogue and songs that advance the story but do little to stand out on their own. Musically, there isn't one really striking melody on the album, although there are plenty of tedious, hackneyed, ready-made ones, wrote Rolling Stone's John Mendelsohn in a brutal review. One might hear this album as a collection of Ray Davies left unrecorded over the years, because he knew he could do much better. Surely he treated every theme represented here infinitely more poignantly elsewhere. Okay. I got no info. I mean, I know of the Kinks, but like, I don't know, man. What's the comment saying here? Dan Aykroyd sang on We Are the World. Did he? I know there was like some news anchor, some sports anchor guy in the very background that sang on it, which was like really stupid. I mean, if you're doing a group vocal, it doesn't really matter if you have like 1 or 2 people who can't sing in there. What was crazy about that is like you had so many classic voices on that We Are the World thing, and yet it sounded just the same as like a church choir, like, or like, for some reason, whenever a bunch of people sing in unison, like any specific tone gets swallowed up and it's just like this wash of like one unified sounding voice. Did I just explain to people what group vocals sound like? Man, I'm really like firing on all cylinders today. I laughed at Paul Simon's comment on that documentary when he said, if a bomb drops in the studio, John Denver is back on top. Oh, yeah, that was pretty funny. Yeah, because, like, you had all those celebrities and the top of the recording artists in there. And, yeah, that was pretty funny. Someone re-recorded Saint Anger this year, and it sounds slightly better, but James' voice is just entirely shot in contrast. So, yeah. Someone re-recorded it as in they remastered the original or, like, remixed it, or, like, another band covered the album, because I'd be interested in hearing that if someone did that. Saint Anger, the trash can drum sound, why Lars, why? So apparently the story behind that shitty snare sound was that Lars was in the studio and the snares were turned off on his snare drums. If you know what a snare drum is, if you know anything about a snare drum, on the underside of the snare drum are all these wires, or they're like these metal wires. There's like an array of them. There's like 10 of them or whatever, and they stretch across the length of the underside of the drum. And that's what gives the snare drum that crack whenever you hit it. It gives it that crack sound. Well, there's a lever on every snare drum that you can flip, and it lowers the snares from the bottom of the drum head, and it gives it more of a dong, dong, dong sound. It sounds more like a tom would, like on like a tom would that, you know, you hit or whatever if you're doing like tom work. It doesn't have a crack to it. So what Lars's snares were disengaged, but sometimes the snares will rattle so much that they'll still kind of hit the top, the underhead, the resonating head of the snare drum. And you get kind of this gong, gong, like what the tone that you hear on Saint Anger. And he heard some guitar riff or something in the playback, and he got so excited that he ran and jumped on his drum set and just started playing, and he forgot to engage the snares. And it sounded how it sounded, that shitty trash can tone. But he thought it was so radical and different that he decided he liked it, and he kept it. And that was the biggest mistake for that record. Now, I don't know if that story is 100% true, but that's what I heard, and it makes sense. Anyway. LOL, haha, had to listen to all that Metallica for nothing. No, I joke when I said that, but there was some really... Dude, Metallica gets really monotonous after a while. Like, if you listen to, like, 2 or 3 Metallica records in a row, that shit gets, like, really fucking monotonous. They have their one gear that they cruise at, and that is it. Except for maybe when you get to, like, Load and Reload, where they're doing country ballads and, you know, surf rock songs. But yeah, their early stuff is just like a buzzsaw through your brain. I mean, like one Metallica record at a time, I say. Christian Rock, Ray fronting Genesis. I was there. I saw this shit live for my sins, watching him attempting to strut his stuff to We Can't Dance with. Oh, did he try to do the little We Can't Dance or the I Can't Dance? Okay, so live, Phil always did that lame little walk that they do or whatever for I Can't Dance. Did Ray actually try to do that? Oh, that would be the cringiest thing to ever graze my eyes. God, that would be awful. Kink's Soap Opera was a hard stop on a bunch of amazing albums in a row. Oh, it's a bummer. Whenever a band has a good run and then they just release some bullshit. Anthony Kelly, the doc is called The Greatest Night in Pop or something like that. All right, we've established the We Are the World doc is called The Greatest Night in Pop. I think it was one guy who re-recorded all the instruments himself and shortened them, thank God. Drums still sound weird, but kind of work this time. So did they... Okay, they layered James Hetfield's vocals on top. I definitely have to check that out. Definitely need to check that out. I need to make a note of that on my phone. I would like to hear that. Thank you for telling me these things. Check out new Saint Anger remaster thing. Yeah, man, like the internet's like a hive mind. Like all of you know a little bit of something. So when you all come together, I get all this new information that I would never be able to figure out on my own. On my own. James Johnson, I really hate those albums that come out with one good, great single that carries all the album sales, while there's only 2 or 3 good songs and the other 11 tracks are mediocre. That's the one thing I will say that streaming did help change. Because now, with the current formula of bands having to kind of dribs and drabs, like their singles, they have to drop one at a time. Every like month, they're dropping a new single until finally they've essentially released the entire album. Peter Gabriel did that. It's a good example of a very old artist releasing songs in a way that young artists do, because young artists, that's how they drop everything now, because they know that people don't have the attention span to listen to an entire album anymore. Back in the day, when you dropped $15 on a CD, or what would it in England? What would it be? When you drop £9 on a record, or as Sonny V2 would say, a record. You know, you're stuck with the whole thing. You're stuck with those 14 songs. And yeah, a lot of times there was 1 or 2 good songs and the other ones were garbage. Not a lot of bands that I listen to were like that, because I'm a man of discerning taste. But pop albums were notorious for having 1 or 2 hits and the rest were just... And the record labels knew that they didn't have to be good. They just shat out something and called it a day. All right. El Rincón de lo... I'm sorry I even tried to say that name. Lars Shirley thought he was doing something revolutionary. I guess so. I watched Some Kind of Monster the other night. So funny. I love the therapist guy, especially when he's telling them that their desire to fire him. He's on a massive retainer. Is a classic. Dude, that therapist developed like a uncomfortable like bond. It's like it's almost like he felt like he was in the band. They were saying that in the documentary. They're like, this therapist guy, like it's almost like he feels like he's in the band at this point. Like it's like the therapist wasn't very good at his job because he couldn't like separate the almost like pseudo fanboyism from his job, because like, yeah, the dude was like getting way too involved in their shit, and they eventually like fired his ass. Like that therapist was weird. And like I said before, if you ever want to see a bunch of people that you thought were cool badass rock stars act like little bitch babies, then watch Some Kind of Monster, and Metallica will forever be ruined to you as far as people that you thought were these cool badass rock stars. Doesn't one of your bandmates think the Monkees slay the... Yes, that's Ari, my dumb singer. Yeah, she unfortunately has the opinion that the Monkees are better than the Beatles. I could make some statements right now, but they wouldn't be politically correct, so I won't say them. I used to purposely buy Greatest Hits album because I thought they were better value. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people did that. I always thought that... back in the day anyway, I thought people who did that were not real fans. Because, like, take the Chili Peppers, for instance. That actually might be a good example of a band where you should buy their greatest hits, but then you take an album like Californication, and then you have songs like Parallel Universe, Around the World, Road Trippin', Right on Time. These are all great songs. Get on Top. These are all great songs that would never make it onto a Greatest Hits, a Chili Peppers Greatest Hits album. And you miss all these great deep cuts that aren't ever going to be played on the radio. That's how I looked at it back then. Nowadays, makes sense, especially for artists like Elton John, Lynyrd Skynyrd, I would say. They're more of a singles-driven group. Yeah, there's a bunch of groups out there. Anyway, I'm not even gonna talk about this Monkees album because did they put out a good album? Like, was there a? I mean, according to this, great artists. So apparently, the Monkees were a great band. Didn't they not write their own songs or play their own instruments or some shit? I feel like there's a band like that out there. Oh, Prince, 1996. Yeah, I could see Prince not staying relevant by that point. Was that when he was still the symbol? Yeah, the symbol under there. Prince was in the middle of a war with Warner Brothers. Oh, was this when he wrote slave on the side of his face and he was just yeah, this was that whole symbol period. Trying to read the main points here. The CD booklet features images of a dollar bill rolled up in a syringe and a heart in a toilet. As one can imagine, it's tough to produce great music when you believe it's only going to benefit an evil corporation you want to destroy. Chaos and Disorder is distinguished by its confusion. Even the title admits the album's fractured parts never resolve into a thematic whole. Apparently it got a 2-star review. At its best, the record sounds like a collection of polished demos. More often, though, it sounds like the work of a Prince impersonator. Okay, well then. You know, Michael Jackson did that same shit when his record Invincible was failing. It's like when these dudes start to when people start becoming uninterested in you and you start to wane in popularity, like these big guys who are used to being like these mega stars, the first thing they want to do is say, oh, well, our record label sucks and didn't promote the record good enough. It's like, well, you know, does Maserati, do they promote their vehicles good enough? Does Bentley's promote their cars good enough? No, because they don't have to. Because people know if they want a luxury car, they're going to seek out a Rolls Royce or a Bentley or a Maserati. They're not going to have to see a commercial to be reminded that these things exist. Michael Jackson was the biggest star, pop star, music star in the world in the 90s. And then in the 2000s, he kind of wasn't. Justin Timberlake and NSYNC and Britney's, all the boy and girl bands, like, kind of took over. And that's what young people, which was Michael Jackson's core demographic, young white people, mind you. It wasn't young black kids that were buying his records at this point. It was young white suburbia were not interested in someone who was in their 40s who had been doing the same shtick, and there wasn't really songs on that album that were all that good. See, this is why I want to do a Michael Jackson tier list, because I got shit to say, man. And Prince, you know, probably did the same thing. The album, he probably didn't have very good ideas to begin with, and he's just going to be like, oh, the record label sucks. But no, record labels do suck, and they do, like, kind of take, you know, more from you than what is entitled to them. And I'm not saying that it was completely wrong of Prince, but, like, I don't know. I'm blathering. Let me read the comments here a little bit. Daddy, read the comments, see what the kids are saying. French Montana just released 5 different versions of the same album to boost stream numbers. Yeah, he's a stream troll. That's a very common thing in the rap community. I remember Ray Shremmerd released a triple album just to get the stream trolling, just so they could get as many streams as possible. Such bullshit. Corey Cameraman's longtime listener and longtime commenter. Therapist guy wasn't even an actual therapist. He was a motivational speaker and a life coach. Yeah, he was like a sports. He worked in the sports world or something. Now he's working with Metallica. Hey, we're the Monkees. Crimson Waffle says we're monkeying around. Brady DiCarlo. I was just watching your Metallica tier list video. Saint Anger is one of the worst albums I've heard. You are correct. Monkees and Beatles are more or less equal. Beatles just have a huge hype machine, but no, dude, no. Beatles were so much more innovative and creative than the Monkees. The Monkees were like an industry plant, essentially. Beatles were like 4 real motherfuckers from Liverpool who worked their way up and wrote songs within the band. I mean, McCartney, Lennon, that is a will go down in history as a legendary writing pair. I mean, no, there's no comparison. I can't believe you would make a statement like that. And I'm not even a huge Beatles fan. I'm not, but I recognize good songwriting when I see it. The meltdown that Lars had when Newsted quit was pretty funny, though. He walked around yelling, "Jason quit! Oh my God, Jason quit! What the fuck?" Yeah. And then, like, him and Kirk went to go see Echo Brain, Jason's band, play. And Lars is like, "Echo Brain is the future. Metallica is the past." And I'm like, dude, you could go out right now with no new album and sell out an arena. Echo Brain was playing in a club. Chill, bro. Metallica's place in history is cemented, my guy. It is cemented. It is not going to budge anywhere. Echo Brain never went on to do anything of merit, in my mind at least. Laura Gerard, I'm sorry, but I always have to point out anytime there's a female on my stream. I checked my analytics the other day. 95% male viewership, 5% female. I don't know if they're basing that off of my subscribers or my views or what, but if like an average video of mine gets like 3,000 or 4,000 views, whatever 5% of that would be, sad, man. Really, really sad. I don't know what to do to appeal to female viewers. I mean, girls like music too. And that's what I mainly talk about. Anyway, what she wanted to say was Jimi Hendrix opened for the Monkees, and that's weird and wrong. It is weird and wrong. Well, if Laura's like, "Oh, I'm actually a dude, this is a dude's name," I would feel pretty stupid. But it would be funny for the chat to laugh at. Watched your stuff for a while, but first time in chat. How's everyone doing? Well, Jay, I'm all right. I'm feeling pretty good, actually. I think it's because I drank more water last night than I normally do. I'm not as hungover today as I normally am. Emo Bassist, welcome back, my friend. Neil Diamond wrote songs for the Monkees. Yeah. Breaking the Girl on Blood Sugar Sex Magic is such a tune. One of my faves. Love the acoustic. Oh, dude, yeah, that's such a good song. And that is by no... Well, no. It did have its own music video, which I actually really love the video, too. It's like they took an acid trip and now they're on like standing on like a mountain, which is clearly on a set somewhere, but still, well, I don't know. It might have been out in the actual wilderness. No, that's Breaking the Girl. Why? What happened to writing songs like that? Why aren't the Chili Peppers writing songs like that anymore? Like, it's bull butter, if you ask me. You should hear the metal version of We Are the World called Hearing Aid Stars. You can hear all the unique vocals in the chorus. Oh, wow. I did not know that was a thing. Of course. Let me just say, and that is cool, and thank you for telling me that, but does there have to be a fucking metal version of every pop song that's ever existed? Why is that a thing, guys in the chat who listen to metal? Why is there a metal cover of every Kelly Clarkson, Miley Cyrus, Demi Lovato, Taylor Swift song? Why? I can tell you this. 9 times out of 10, the metal version sucks so much more ass than the pop version. I would rather listen to the pop version, and I don't even really like any of those artists I just named. I'm so sick of people doing metal fucking cover, and my band is guilty of it. We did a, not a metal cover per se, but a rock version of Wrecking Ball by Miley Cyrus. One of the most covered songs to do a rock version of. I am a hypocrite. But, I don't know, I thought it would be popular. I'm tired of metal versions of songs. Let's make that not a thing, because it's played the fuck out. All right. Fleetwood Mac, Time, 1990. Damn, I always have to find myself saying this. I think a lot of these albums were flops because the band just wasn't in their heyday anymore. Fleetwood Mac putting out something new in 1995, does that make sense? Lindsey Buckingham's decision to quit Fleetwood Mac after the release of 1987's Tango in the Night was a major blow to the band, but they were able to limp forward, cut 1990s Behind the Mask, and tour successfully behind it. But things got tricky a couple years ago later when Stevie Nicks decided that she wanted out too. That was probably the right time to simply put Fleetwood Mac on hiatus, but Mick Fleetwood decided to soldier ahead by bringing in Becca Bramlett, the 27-year-old daughter of early 70s duo Delaney and Bonnie Bramlett, to take on the Nicks role. Obviously, this was hopelessly doomed endeavor. The album from the lineup in 1995's Time, which does feature a few solid Christine McVie songs like I Do and All Over Again, but this is Fleetwood Mac in name only, and the material isn't nearly strong enough to justify its existence. Okay, got through that. I might have to check out that album. Well, Christy McVie was still in there. I really like her vocals. I think I like Christy McVie's vocals more than I like Stevie Nicks. Sacrilege, I know, but... Oh, this is a classic flop. Yeah, music from The Elder. This was Kiss's concept album, and it was all Gene Simmons' fault. They really didn't have any good ideas around this time, and Gene Simmons is like, well, hey, I really like Marvel Comics, and I would like to do a concept record, and let me write the lyrics, guys. I'll take care of it. Yeah. And then Ace was, Peter, I think, was already out. Yeah, Peter was already out of the band at this point. This was when they had Eric Carr, I believe. And Ace was just drugged up. I don't even think he actually played any guitar in The Elder, but he did have to play the music live. There's a song called The Oath, I think it is, off this record that I really like a lot, actually. So, yeah, Kiss didn't quite know what to do with themselves at the dawn of the MTV era. They were still an enormously popular band, but critics despised them. And many of their fans were moving on to newer acts. In a fairly desperate attempt to establish some credibility, they reunited with producer Bob Ezrin, who helmed their best studio albums, 76's Destroyer, and crafted an elaborate concept about a dystopian universe where a brave hero named only The Boy battles evil forces. What an original idea. It seemed like a fairly safe bet since Ezrin had just produced Pink Floyd's 79 opus The Wall, but Kiss are not Pink Floyd, not by a long shot, they are not. The album got ripped to shreds by the rock press, and their remaining fans just ignored it. The band didn't even bother touring behind it, and a planned Elder movie never materialized. Quote, that was the one time I would say that Kiss succumbed to the critics, Gene Simmons later said. We wanted a critical success, and we lost our minds. Yeah, I think I tried giving that album a listen. Although it was kind of interesting trying to listening to Paul Stanley attempt to sing like operatically. But yeah, that was definitely a huge flop. Unoriginal, hello, welcome back. You are late to the party, but you're here. It's all good. Fleetwood Mac Time. Have I heard this one? I know. I didn't even know that was a thing in the 90s with them. Oh, speaking of We Are the World, God damn it, why do we keep talking about We Are the World? Have you ever heard the atrocious new metal collab song done for either 9/11 or AIDS awareness? I forgot. Fred Durst was the main leader. Oh, man, you might have just given me a new video idea. Josh, you were just coming up with all the ideas, brother. I'm glad you aren't doing a YouTube channel because you'd beat me to the punch with these great ideas. Okay. New metal, We Are the World, around the time of September 11th. That's a great idea for a video. Raven Shore, keep talking, playing chess. Well, okay, I'm glad you're giving you something to do while you play chess. I love playing chess, but I usually get my ass beat. You should totally do an MJ tier list. I plan on it eventually. I mean, I know Simon's not going to enjoy it, but, you know, Simon, you can sit that one out, buddy. Slippery Fish, hi, everyone. What's up? Welcome. Not largely familiar with this discog, but I'm interested to hear what got into. The MJ tier list would be good. I'm over myself. The second disc of History, the one with all the new material, is patchy but fascinating. Stranger in Moscow is maybe my favorite MJ. Yeah, it's a great song. Who invited a girl to the sausage party? I know, dude. Just a bunch of swinging penises in this chat. What videos do females watch? I don't know. I could be a stereotypical and say makeup tutorial videos or something like that, but that's probably a offensive thing to say. So I'm not going to say it, even though I just did. Oh, Haley Chavez, that's my girl. You're welcome for the part of the 5%. Haley Chavez does have a vagina, so well, okay. See, I'm treading into politically incorrect territory right now, because I say she has a vagina, so that makes her a girl. But then, that turns into a whole thing now in 2024. Why don't I stick to music and stop saying things off the cuff? I think that's a good idea. Found the name. What's Going On featuring Chuck D, Fred Durst reality check mix. I hope they have a video for this thing you're talking about, because that gives me a new video idea right there. Laura, I watched them all, came for the prog and ended up staying. Well, fantastic. Tom Veldren, Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees' most recent release is an EP of REM covers? What? What? Mickey Dolenz. I gotta look this up now. Dude, you guys, I'm telling you, just giving me all the knowledge. Dolenz. I gotta see. What the fuck? Mickey Dolenz sings REM. You are not shitting me, sir. It's like an EP, though. Shiny Happy People. Lame choice. Radio Free Europe. Man on the Moon. Lame choice. Leaving New York. That's off of, isn't that off of Around the Sun? Oh, I gotta hear it. I gotta hear a little taste of Radio Free Europe. Yeah, listen on my... Okay, I think it's playing. I'm sorry, I gotta hear a taste of this. Okay, get into it before I get copyright strike. Copyright stroke. Dude, this intro is taking forever. Okay, I don't want to get copyright stricken. All right, this might be another video too. I'm not gonna lie. How do you motherfuckers know all this shit? Mickey Dolenz REM video. What the fuck? That's crazy. Anthony Kelly, because Pop tried to kill the metal, but the metal... Pop tried to kill the metal, but the metal just laughed in Pop's face. I don't know if you're referencing the end of the Tenacious D movie where he's... Anyway. Tenacious D song. Funny stuff. Boots the Cat. Most metalheads I know only want to listen to metal music, but don't want to miss out on the popular songs. That's a funny answer, actually. Children of Bodom did Pop covers as a gag, and the lead singer, who's dead now, was constantly drunk and thought it was funny to sing Oops, I Did It Again. Yeah, it's lame. I hate that shit. The Fleetwood Mac track that you recommended, Hypnotize, is a superb track. I agree. Never a huge fan of the band, but that's a hell of a deep cut, Josh. No, you guys, go out and listen to Hypnotize by Fleetwood Mac. It was before Buckingham Nicks. You know, everyone made a big deal about Lindsey Buckingham and Stevie Nicks. This was an old singer, great tune. Just, man, tunes, mate, tunes. Mickey Dolenz is the last surviving monkey, and he's still got that, like, he's got that face of a guy. It's like, you were probably in some kind of, like, boy group or pop thing, because he's got that face that, like, when you were younger, you were probably this handsome pop dude. I don't know if that makes sense, but that's the face he has. Every bad idea Kiss ever had was the fault of Gene and Paul. I mean, hey, look what happened when Peter Criss doing his 2 cents. Beth, the band's like one of their biggest hits. Look what happened when Ace Frehley did his solo record. He did New York Groove, which was a big hit. Those guys, I sound like Christopher Walken just said. Those guys, they had good ideas, but they were stifled by Stanley and Herr Simmons. It's German for Mister, if you get what I'm doing there. If you pick up what I'm throwing down. Ace Frehley did solos in some tracks and wrote and sang on Dark Light. Okay. I know he had a little bit to do with it, but not, a whole lot, because he was so fucked up on drugs and shit back then. Turkish Van, what's up? How's it going? Raven Shore. Hey, just representing him, by the way. I'm crushing in chess. Good. That's great. What's that weird chess move where you can move the king and the rook? You do a little switcheroo. I never knew what the proper conditions were to do that. Pretty cool though. Recent sub of yours, loving your content, whether it be music or Bimmy or what have you. I'm so thankful for people who can fuck around with the music stuff, but they also like the angry video game nerd stuff. Like, I truly appreciate that, because, like, I don't want to talk about AVGN all the time. With that being said, it is quite fun to talk about AVGN sometimes. So, yeah. I almost thought about live streaming and just talking about his newest episode, but I was like, nah, I don't want to do that. Yeah, I agree. Crimson Waffle. There's some great ideas in the chat. I have the Steven Seagal Blues album on my to-do list. Trust me, that's on the list. I know, copyright stricken. I'm so fucking stupid. His version of Shiny Happy People makes REM original sound like Nine Inch Nails. I know, right? Shit. I haven't listened to it yet, but I know that's going to be the case. Vanilla Corn. The REM cover EP definitely has some 60s psychedelic monkey sensibilities. It's interesting. Apparently, the members of REM were blown away and flattered by it. Yeah, I mean, if a monkey covers your shit, that's yeah, castling. That's the term. I do play chess. I just don't. I didn't remember that term. Hey, if you're a real chess player, do you really have to hit that stupid clock every move you make? Because like that would suck. And does that count against your score if you dick around too long to make a move in chess? Because if that's how you have to play it for real, then that would not be fun. That'd take all the fun out of things. It's hard to believe Ace is still alive and constantly making out. I know, dude. I cannot believe he's still alive. His voice sounds decent. He's a decent singer. He still sings. He's still got that sloppy Ace Frehley playing that I love, because I love how sloppy he is as a lead player. That adds to the charm. Him wearing his rings and them scraping up against the strings. That's his sound. Like, no is technically wrong, and you should not do that. And if you're any other band, don't do that, because it's going to sound like shit. But Ace Frehley, man, that's just his style. Sloppy 70s guitar soloing, and it's got its own charm because of that. I don't know. That's just how I feel about it anyway. I've shared your stuff on the Truth Reddit on occasion. Okay. Well, I appreciate it. Usually though, when my stuff gets shared on the Truth Forum, everyone just like takes big fat shits on me nowadays. Cause I think I said one time where I was like, yeah, Sam Ask Your Truth kind of turned on me. They're kind of shitting on me. And somebody clipped it, posted it, and that's all it took. Me showing a little bit of butthurt. That's all it took for them to see blood in the water. And ever since then, I am persona non grata in the Truth Forum, and now whenever my stuff gets posted in there, they just shit on me. So I prefer to not have my stuff shared in there, but if you do whatever you want to do, man, I'm not gonna tell you what to do. Over the board chess online is much more convenient. Is that what it's called, over the board chess? We have to hit the fucking clock whenever you make your move. Mick Mars was all about wearing rings when he played as well. I'm surprised Mick Mars can still play guitar. He's so fucking, all of his bones are like fused together because he's got some weird ailment of some kind. All right, let's see here. All right, let's just keep on going on with this shit. Pete Townsend, Psycho Derelict in 93. I'm not even going to read this. A Pete Townsend album in 1993, I can imagine, is bad. I guarantee you he did a music video for at least one of these songs, and I can also guarantee you that it was on Beavis and Butthead, and I can guarantee you they made fun of it. This was like prime fodder at the time for Mike Judge to have on Beavis and Butthead. Whenever these like artists from the 70s were trying to be hip in the 90s, they loved putting those videos on the Beavis and Butthead show because there was so much material to like make fun of, like, you know, all these artists who were hot in the 70s and now they're like old farts now, but they're wearing the dark sunglasses and they're trying to be cool, folding their arms and shit, and it was just so it was such a cringy time, and I'm like glad that like that doesn't really happen anymore. Well, that's because we don't have any more big stars anymore, because they're all TikTok stars that burn out. What the fuck happened to that Gale band? A, B, C, D, E, F, U, and your dog and the frog on the log. What happened to that? What happened to that group? They're nowhere. They got big on TikTok and they fucking vanished after a year. Their follow-up did nothing. Nothing. And I'm just saying, Lil Nas X is going to have to drop a single if that motherfucker's going to stay relevant. Because, yeah, he had a nice little run, but we're not going to have any megastar. Taylor Swift was the last pop star that will go down as 20 years from now. She will go down as one of the GOATs of this time. I don't even like her music, but I'm just saying you can't deny it. There's no more stars. The internet, TikTok, it's ruined it. And God knows there's no more rock stars, like no new ones. There's no new rock band now that will be like the Foo Fighters are current day. Started out 20 years ago, 30 years ago. Now they're doing Wembley Stadium. That's just not going to happen. Like, I don't, yeah, I mean, you could say the same about like movie stars. Like, are there any Schwarzenegger, Stallones out now? You know, like that people, like everyone, that are household names that everybody knows about? I don't know. Moving right along. What is this? Aerosmith, 9 Lives, 1997. Now, I know they had a comeback in the 90s, but, Okay, let's see what this has to say. Aerosmith launched an extremely unlikely comeback in the peak of hair metal 80s, thanks to outside riders and tunes like Lovin' an Elevator and Ragdoll. I hate that song. Ragdoll, Daddy's Little Booty, Zappe, a kibbity pooty. Like that, I hate that song. I hate that vocal melody. Yes, I'm moving. Ragdoll, give me this, Davy. I hate that song so much. I don't really like Aerosmith to begin with. They somehow grew even more popular in the grunge era due to Crying, Crazy, Living on the Edge. I love Living on the Edge. That's a great song. And the appeal of a teenage Alicia Silverstone. Yeah, definitely some pedo vibes going on in that music video. I think it was Crazy. Crying and Crazy sound, if I'm not mistaken, they're like the same song, right? I was crazy. And then it was like, I was crying when I met you. Now I'm trying to forget you. Yeah, they're like the same song, bro. It's like the same song. Anyway, so blah, blah, blah. But when it came to cut the 97's 9 Lives, they were melting down thanks to bouts with their manager, infighting, and temporary defection of Joey Kramer due to grief over his father's death. Man, that motherfucker made it to that old and he still had his dad around. My dad died when I was 28. Lucky bastard. Sorry, I get angry at people whose dads are still alive. They also pushed out Columbia A&R with John Kalodner, even though he played a pivotal role in masterminding their comeback. The results were very chaotic sessions, overseen by Journey producer Kevin Shirley, and middling ballads like Hole in My Soul. Ooh, Hole in My Soul. That's some alliteration there. Falling in Love is Hard on the Knees. Is that in reference to like a blowjob? It felt like pale imitations of earlier hits. They eventually brought Colander back to try and salvage the project, but it was too late. The album sold relatively well and followed it up a couple years later with the number one, I Don't Want to Miss. Oh, yeah. I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. I mean, that I Don't Want to Miss a Thing and like Just Push Play or whatever. Like that song and then that record, like that dude, Aerosmith, I don't like them. I never have, but like they've had a damn good career. I mean, they are an American rock institution. Do not like their music. Don't like Steven Tyler's vocals. Yeah. I like a handful of their songs. I would say they're probably a singles band. Eddie Trunk would disagree with me. Eddie Trunk thinks that Kiss and Aerosmith are two of the greatest bands that have ever walked God's green earth. And oddly enough, Eddie Trunk also loves Soul Asylum. Out of all the bands that are out there, I get it. He's an old fart. And if you don't know who Eddie Trunk is, he's this radio DJ, talk show host. He says a lot of shit that there's a lot of okay boomer energy with Eddie Trunk, and I think he appeals to an audience of boomers, so it's like whatever. But like he's like railed against bands using backing tracks before, which is like so industry standard now. It's not even funny. Even a lot of the bands that he praises use backing tracks. And he loves him some Kiss, some Aerosmith, and like Soul Asylum and Marilyn Manson. The dude is very bizarre to me. Devo, Smooth Noodle Maps. Okay. Again, a Devo album in 1990. I'm not seeing it. The Devo album in 1990. Devo were just 10 years removed from Whip It when they began work on 90s Smooth Noodle Maps. Such a dumb name. But it must have felt like an eternity. Their failure to score another radio hit or find any real traction in an MTV age cost them their contract with Warner Brothers. After 84's Shout peaked at number 83, and their move to indie label Enigma did little to revive their fortunes. The group's 88 album, Total Devo, didn't rise any higher than number 189. God damn. Might I say, Devo could be a one-hit wonder. And most fans were barely even aware that it existed. They tried one more time with Smooth Noodle Maps, but they were so dejected by this point that they called one of the songs Devo Has Feelings Too. Aww. The album attempted to infuse Devo's music with elements of contemporary dance pop, but it simply didn't work. For proof, check out their drab take on the Bonnie Dobson folk classic Morning Dew. Mark Mothersbaugh was already devoting much of his time to TV and movie projects when Devo cut this record, and sounds like his mind was clearly somewhere else. The album didn't even make it onto the album charts, and they wouldn't attempt another one until 2010. Now, I thought Devo was this like folk indie darling electronic band that like did all this great stuff. Like the hipsters love Devo, I thought. It's weird that it sounds to me like the what was it, their first record, Are We Not Men, We Are Devo? Was that their only like worth listening to record? There's a lot of fucking comments in the chat here I need to look at, I believe. Checkmate Showdown's a fun blend of chess. Okay, the chess thing. It's kind of like when you see Blink-182 live, but they play out of tune, but it still works. Well, now everything's auto-tuned with Blink-182, and their instruments are probably somehow... They came out with this guitar a long time ago. I think it was a Gibson came out with these tuners that like automatically would tune the guitar, like some trippy shit there. It was like super expensive. Whenever I had to play lead guitar on stage back in the day, I never had any confidence, but I think I was better than the Rex Viper dude. Well, yeah, that's not a difficult feat, man. If Rush makes it to the list, I'm a flip. I don't think they did. I wouldn't and we were talking about this earlier. I don't think Rush did a bad album. You could say their first album was rough, but it's like 74. I mean, everybody made records that sounded like that back in 74. Andy Warhol did predict that in the future people will only be famous for 15 seconds. Yeah, you know, he was onto something with that. That was very deep, man. 9 Lives, yeah, it deserves to be here. Pink is an abysmal track. Aerosmith, After Get a Grip, is throw up. If this includes Shadow Life by Dawkins, I'll probably agree with the list to some degree. The video for Pink was terrible too. Is that an Aerosmith song? This is what happens when I don't keep up with the comments. I forget the context. Don't forget Amazing to complete the trilogy. At least they chose 9 Lives. Dude, Just Push Play was... I remember there were kids in my high school that were like the hottest girl in my grade, Chelsea. I guess I won't say her last name. I don't know why it matters, but... she was talking about being really into the new Aerosmith album, and even in 8th grade or 9th grade or whatever, I was like, what? This chick likes Aerosmith? And not only Aerosmith, but their new albums. They did a good job marketing that record, because, anyway. Oh, yeah, Eddie Trunk also loves UFO. Yeah, he's constantly talking about UFO. I remember getting nine Lives for free from a record store because they were going to throw most of their copies in the garbage when I was a kid. They also gave me a press kit. Oh, that would be awesome to get an actual press kit, an Aerosmith press kit. Do you still have that? That's probably worth some money now. I met Eddie Trunk at a book signing. He was unpleasant. Well, book signings, I don't know. You're constantly having to deal with people at a rapid fire pace. I could see that not being the most pleasant experience for the person having to do the book signing, but maybe don't do the book signing if you're gonna be a cunt. I don't know, or like take a few shots. That would be Josh's solution, is to get drunk. Smooth Noodle Maps is actually ranked pretty high among Devo fanboys, but yeah, it kind of checks out. Oh, you used to be a Devo fanboy, eh? Devo's cover of Head Like a Hole is pretty... Oh my god, they covered... Josh! My guy, you're giving me so much material here. Head like a hole, black as your soul. I'd rather die than give you control. I imagine it something like that, right? Eddie Trunk is the definition of a boomer who doesn't want to escape the 70s and 80s. Yes, you are correct. Just Push Play is worse. Aerosmith. It contains them attempting rap new metal. 9 Lives is Toys in the Attic by comparison. Really? I only heard Jaded, which is a good song. I can still play that at my gigs to this day. And the title track, Just Push Play, which I thought was decent, I guess. I prefer Mark Mothersbaugh's scoring than Devo's music. Mark Mothersbaugh's done a lot of shit in music outside of Devo. He was the main guy who did all the music and sounds on Rugrats, which was a favorite TV show of mine as a kid growing up. And the music for Rugrats was very unique. It was very quirky. The only time I was ever able to tolerate Aerosmith on MTV was when Run DMC was collaborating with them. Even that song I never really liked. Like the video was kind of cool because it was like the two worlds combining or whatever, but the song itself was just, hey diddle diddle, catch a kitty in the middle or whatever. It was just like, ooh, those are cringy lyrics. Sorry, trying to keep up with this. Just saw Devo here in Seattle last tour, and they still sound great, bizarre as ever. They sing in Gates of Steel is my favorite song by Devo. I have that record, and he sings high. Like, he's got a high range. I wonder if he still can hit those notes, because like his voice is like kind of sits up there. Brandon Summer, met that Eddie guy. Sounds like my girlfriend's dad. He loves Kiss, but also loves Typo Negative. Oh yeah, well, that's cool. I think Rush self-titled is great. I think it greatly showcases the capability of Geddy and Alex, that Geddy, Lee, and Alex Lifeson always had. Geddy's playing is really good on there. My mom of all people, because I would listen to the Rush cassette when she would pick me up from school, and she pointed out something interesting. She said, "Oh, you notice how he only plays the complicated bass parts like in between his singing?" And if you listen to a lot of the Rush, the songs off the first album, Geddy Lee really does kind of like simplify the bass playing when he's singing, and then he like does more complicated runs when he's not singing. Now, obviously later on, you take a song like Big Money by Rush, listen to that fucking bass line and tell me, how do you sing over while playing a bass line like that? Like, listen to that song Big Money off of Power Windows, the first track. How the fuck is he singing and playing that at the same time? So obviously he got better at it, but you know. UFO sucked after Shanker left. I never really listened to UFO. Trust me, it sounds much worse than that. Oh, the Head Like a Hole cover. Oh, I gotta listen to that now. Speaking of UFOs, Tom DeLonge got laughed out of the UFO community and had to come back to Blink. Why did he get laughed out of the community? Because last I heard, he had been meeting up with these big muckety mucks in the UFO world, and he was talking to retired, people in high places that would have the knowledge of all this inside knowledge or whatever the fuck. Like, what ended up happening with him? I think Night in the Ruts is a great Aerosmith album, but if you aren't a hardcore Aerosmith fan, you probably won't like it all. Probably not. Thank you, Charlie. I'm glad I make you laugh. I was curious which Elton John they're going to go for. So many to choose from. Leather Jackets is truly awful, but Victim of Love has that disco version of Johnny Be Good. Yeah, Gates of Steel kicks ass. All right, let's try to finish this shit. I'm getting fucking hungry. Liz Phair was this. Was this? This was her pop album. Why can't I breathe whenever I think about you? Oh, but then she did Fun Style after this, which was even worse. This is when she went pop and she was trying to compete with, as they're saying in here, she's trying to compete with like the Avril Lavigne's and all that. Yeah, I never understood. Liz Phair has that album Exile Out of Guyville or whatever, which is the stupidest name for an album, but the critics fucking loved it. Apparently very much critically acclaimed. I don't understand why or how. I don't understand why she would like people ever liked her. I never thought any of her shit was that good. Out of the Lilith Fair crowd, Liz Phair was one of the worst. So I don't know. Weezer Ratitude. Well, I know the album cover is infamously stupid, horrible. But why is it a bad album? I stopped listening to, I fuck with like Weezer's first album and like Pinkerton and like Maladroit, and I don't care about anything else they've done. Weezer have made quite a few creative missteps ever since they re-emerged at the turn of the millennium with the Green Album, but at least shortcomings of albums like OK Human, the Black Album, and Pacific Daydream suffer from the shortcomings of either Weezer alone or outside songwriters that share the Weezer aesthetic. On 2009's Ratitude, they brought in Dr. Luke, Lil Wayne, Jermaine Dupri, and others from far outside the band's world in a transparent attempt to get back on top 40 radio. And then you have the If You're Wondering If I Want You To, I Want You To. It gets the album off to a surprisingly decent start, but it collapses once Dr. Luke joins the party for I'm Your Daddy. Ugh. And sinks into the abyss when Lil Wayne and Dupree come into the picture for Can't Stop Partying. Being a hardcore Weezer fan involves finding things to hate in almost every album they make. That's kind of funny. But the band has never given their followers nearly this much ammunition to use against them. Wow. I can't believe that fucking band that did that album Hurley with the dude from Survive, or what was that, Lost? That television show Lost. And it was just the dude's, like, fucking face. It was like the actor, whatever his name is. It was just a close-up of his face, and that was their album cover. Like, that was so stupid. And, like, what a dumbass idea. You're a dumbass, Beavis. Or more like, you're a dumbass, Rivers Cuomo. All right, guys, I'm bordering on the state of unbearable hunger at this point. I hate to break this down into a part 2. I really thought I could bang this thing out, but I only got to like 30, so this is a good round number to end on. Ugh. Yeah, sorry. My hunger pangs are getting too intense. So anyway, that was a lot of fun as usual. I'm glad you guys came in and hung out. Let me try to read the rest of these comments here. I was lucky enough to see Rush a few times over the years, and yeah, watching Geddy Lee sing and as well as play those ridiculous bass lines was something, yeah, to say the least. Jewel tried to go pop and Crash and Burned. Yeah, so like Todd and the Shadows did a video on that album. It was like 02, 03 something, 2000 and something. And so I don't ask me why. I think it was free on Audible. I listened to Jewel's audiobook, her biography. She claims that was all very much on purpose, and she said the album was like a success, and her fans loved the album. Like Todd was making it sound like it was this like cringy failure, and the fans hated it and all that, but Jewel sees otherwise. She thinks that it was a resounding success, and you know, she's proud of it. And it's just like, bro, you literally wrote the song Intuition because you were getting a brand deal from a a shaving company like Gillette or something, and they were naming their new razor for women called Intuition, and that's why she went into the studio to write the song Follow Your Heart, Your Intuition. Like, that is, oh my God, like that. Can you think of anything more anathema to being a true artist than writing a goddamn song because a razor company paid you money to do that? That, like, that is awful. Like, if she's hot though, I will say that Jewel is hot. I don't even know if she can sing. I haven't. The jury's out on that with me. I had a lot more to say about Jewel than what I thought. I think I've enjoyed I think I've enjoyed a single Weezer album, and I don't need any more. It's kind of the feeling I get about it too, quite frankly. We got Paul McCartney. Yeah, we should wait and see what he has to say, or what Rolling Stone has to say about him. Being a Weezer, I'm guessing you meant fan. Being a Weezer fan sucks. They make great albums and some of dog water music. Yeah. Take care of the Hungies. Fun stream as usual. Thanks, Josh, and thank you for so many of those great ideas that I definitely will be looking into. That image of Bowie is really. Oh yeah, that image of Bowie I had on my little thing there. Well, it's gone now. So, any Weezer album cover beyond the band standing there or so. Yeah, I mean that one of Hurley's face from Lost kills me. Yeah, I think they really just need to be standing with a different color behind them. I think they just need to not deviate from that. Although the cover of Pinkerton was pretty cool. It had that like Japanese art style. It's a shame the album bombed, but now I think everyone's gone back and, you know, revisionist history. All the fans are like, oh no, Pinkerton. You're cool in the Weezer community if you say all you have to do is say Pinkerton is my favorite album, and they're like, all right. He stays. Yeah, but dude, it is hard to think on an empty stomach, dude. It's torturous right now. Yeah, we definitely got the topic for next week's live stream. Megadeth's Risk better make it on the list. Oh, with the fucking rat and looking at the mouse trap through the hole in the wall or whatever. I do like that album cover. Yeah, the Razor thing with Jewel. Yeah, she totally wrote that song Intuition because she got paid in advance from it was like Gillette or Schick, or, you know, one of those razor companies, and they're like, you know, we need you to work this title of our new razor into your song, so that's why she wrote the song Intuition. Like, she needed the money. Her mom was like the biggest piece of shit. Like, her mom was like managing her and like screwing her over so bad. Like, it's interesting to listen to her audiobook just for that alone. There are some parts in there that are pretty fucking boring, and Jewel's like this big tomboy, so she talks about her time in Alaska a lot, and it's like, I don't give a shit. She grew up in Alaska. What's for dinner, Josh? I'm debating between this spaghetti dinner I have, but that means I have to make the garlic bread, which takes longer. I also have these quesadilla beans and rice with some tortilla chips. So I love spaghetti, and I love the quesadillas, so I'm really torn between the two. I don't know which direction I should go with it. My kid wants to go into jingle writing. There's good money to be fucking made in there. I can tell you that. It's hard to get into, though. Yeah, I'm ready to riot against some of the other choices remaining on this. Yeah, if you want to spoil it, you can go ahead and like read for yourself, but you won't have my sterling commentary, though. That's what you'd be missing. It seems like Weezer fans hate Weezer the most. Yeah, it's almost like Star Wars fans hate Star Wars the most. It's kind of one of those communities, you know. Pleasure, as always. It's late as fucking limey land. Until next time. Didn't Jules' family have a stupid reality TV show? Probably. All right, guys. That's it. I'm going to go get something to eat. Love y'all. Ugh, I never say that. That felt really cringy to say. Sorry I said that. Until next time, have a good rest of your night.